Bitcoin is back, so is Ethereum. What a massive 24 hours. I've woken up Monday morning. I'm on the road today, so I'm doing my best on the road to come to you with all the latest info on crypto overnight, with Bitcoin pumping, Ethereum's up. We've got a lot of great indicators which we've been talking about. I'm going to wrap up exactly why the price has moved so much over the last 24 hours and where do I think the market's going. We've got Do Kwon from Terra buying billions of dollars in Bitcoin. I think we're on the way to seeing Bitcoin as a reserve currency, just like Hal Finney said back in the day when he received the first Bitcoin transaction ever. We've got oil and gas producers starting to shift away from in the ground mining and into Bitcoin mining. On-chain analysis and all the things that are shaping up to be super bullish moving forward. We've got liquidations overnight with all the traders that have been liquidated. We've got the ETH Merge coming up, which is super bullish for Ethereum, and a lot of Google trends, plus an emergency update for Google Chrome users. So if you use Google Chrome, please wait to the end of the video. I'm going to chat to you about something that you guys need to pay attention to. Welcome back to Collective Shift. I'm your host, Ben Simpson. As I mentioned, I'm on the road today. I'm traveling out to Perth in Australia to meet up with some of our team. So I'm doing my best. I've brought my microphone, my light, one's flat. I'm going to do my best to give you all the latest on crypto over the last 24 hours in 8 to 10 minutes so you, the busy investor, can stay across the market. As always, if you want more premium analysis and our buys and sells, you can jump into Collective Shift. Otherwise, let's jump into it. So Bitcoin overnight, up to 46,000. We touched over 47,000 late last night. We've had a huge run up, as you can see, over the last week. And we've been touching on a few of the reasons why on the channel over the last week or so, specifically around some on-chain analytics. We saw a lot of supply really be, illiquid on a lot of the exchanges. And we spoke about how there wasn't much needed for Bitcoin to have a bit of a macro catalyst for price to really increase with the illiquid amount of crypto on exchanges, Bitcoin. And so much is happening in the space that has just been ultra bullish over the last few days, which has really pushed Bitcoin up. And let's get into it. I think for me that some of the biggest stuff recently was Do Kwon, the creator of the protocol Terra, as we mentioned about. So Terra is buying up to $10 billion of Bitcoin, and they're doing that because of the pristine collateral Bitcoin is. At the moment, UST, which I think is in the top 3 biggest stable coins out there, they peg it to their local currency Terra, and basically to keep that peg, they just sell Terra for UST and vice versa to keep that dollar stable. Now, what they're doing now is they're buying Bitcoin as that pristine collateral to back the UST stablecoin again. So it's using Bitcoin now as collateral. So again, it will soon be selling Bitcoin for UST to keep that $1 peg, which I think we're going to see more and more over the next few years, Bitcoin continuing to be this sort of world reserve currency. And just as Hal Finney predicted, Hal Finney was, if you don't know him, he received the first ever Bitcoin transaction, unfortunately passed away recently, but basically spoke about Bitcoin's ultimate fate was to be this high-powered money that serves a reserve currency for banks to issue their own digital cash. And we're seeing that already with the founder of Terra announcing they're going to be backing their UST stablecoin with $10 billion of reserve Bitcoin. I think this is just hugely bullish because I think we're going to see more protocols and more companies follow, more banks, more institutions, more other crypto projects using Bitcoin as collateral to compare the UST stablecoin to other stablecoins and how they work. Most popular stablecoins like the USTD and USTC hold real-world assets for backing. For example, the USTD is a mixed bag, and USTC is cash and fairly stated cash equivalents. And these are called collateralized stablecoins. There are other types of stablecoins known as algorithmic stablecoins like UST, where it burns 1 for 1. And these algorithmic stablecoins aren't collateralized. Instead, they are burnt or minted to keep the coin's value in line with the target price. And that's where we spoke about recently, the beginners video I did on UST and Luna is where Luna comes in. Now, already we've seen that they plan on buying $3 billion of Bitcoin. 2.2 billion of that has already been raised through $1 billion of outside funding and $1.2 billion USTD. And they're going to continue to be buying more. So I think hugely bullish for Bitcoin and also Luna. In other news, we saw El Salvador is continue to push their Bitcoin volcano bond, where they're basically, although it has been delayed a little bit, they're trying to raise money to buy Bitcoin to boost their economy. I think they're planning on building a $1 billion bond. 500 million of that, I think, is planning to be bought with Bitcoin, and the other 500 million is going to be spent building the local economy. A couple of really bullish macro pieces of news there. Now, ExxonMobil has been working with Denver-based Crusoe Energy Systems to mine Bitcoin in North Dakota for over a year. And according to people with the knowledge of the project, some of these oil and gas companies, especially ExxonMobil, one of the biggest oil and gas producers in the US, are piloting a project to mine Bitcoin in North Dakota. Now, why they're doing this? Well, Exxon is diverting natural gas that would otherwise be burnt off in generators, which convert the gas into electricity using the power shipping containers full of thousands of Bitcoin miners. The problem with Exxon and Conco are addressing that has existed for years is what happens when drillers accidentally hit a natural gas formation. Now, I'm certainly not an expert in this space, but reading here from CNBC, unlike oil, which can be trucked out on a remote destination, gas delivery requires a pipeline. If a drilling site is close to a pipeline, producers can sell it right away. But if the pipe is full, or if the gas is 20 miles away, drillers often have to burn it off, and that's why you see typically flames rising from oil fields. Enter Bitcoin mining, which only requires an internet connection and can be done from anywhere. And because miners' primary variable cost is energy, they're incentivized to find the cheapest sources of power. This is just a great way to bring the demand to the wasted energy and solve two problems at once. So one of the biggest problems is obviously energy and burning too much energy and the emissions and stuff that it's doing to the environment. They're starting to now move away from that or focus some of their energy into Bitcoin mining, which is far more probably cost efficient. It's better for the environment and potentially going to be making more money by mining Bitcoin. So hugely bullish as we're seeing more of these bigger companies move towards mining Bitcoin rather than mining things out of the ground. Now we head into some of the charts. Will Clemente has been following this trend pattern for the last few months back. It started after we had that dip in December, so it started January. You can see these blue lines, we see this trend here. Again, I'm not an expert trader by any stretch, I don't trade myself, but a lot of traders follow these trend patterns, and you can see we hit a resistance and around the $46,000 mark over the last 3 months, we kept bouncing off that. And a lot of traders tend to don't jump into Bitcoin to follow a trend until we see the moving average or Bitcoin push through the resistance. And 46 was a resistance we were bouncing and trending in between. We've now broken through that resistance, and I think we're going to see more traders, and as we've seen, Bitcoin now up across 47,000, pushing above these trends. And when we get these trends, Bitcoin is a narrative, right? Bitcoin investors and traders buy into the narrative, and I think we're seeing now a narrative. Q1 was fairly choppy, there was a lot of macro uncertainty, but I think now we're seeing that trend above that 46,000. We could potentially see that continue to move on. Glassnode also tweeted yesterday, the next major on-chain resistance was that $46,000 short-term holder realized price. The metric is the average price paid for Bitcoin by investors who purchased after the October all-time high. Bearish resistance comes from STHs seeking to get their money back. So we're seeing that $46,000 price being that resistance band that we've broken through, which is super bullish. We saw a lot of liquidations. We saw over $100 million in short trade liquidations overnight. There's been, I think, what are we here? This is the 4-hour period. So we go to the 24-hour period. Over $165 million in Bitcoin liquidations alone. So there was a lot of short positions that were liquidated. And when we see those short positions, which is people betting against the price going down, when those prices get evaporated, the price shoots up because it liquidates all of those positions and they get margin called. Now, not only in Bitcoin, we're seeing in other areas, the total aggregate index monthly returns in the bond market continues. So other investments, other things outside of Bitcoin with the macro uncertainty, Bitcoin is holding up as a place to hedge against inflation, as a place to store your wealth in macro uncertainty. And the bond market is showing that is actually, if we ended March yesterday, it has had the worst returns in a month in over 42 years. So a lot of other markets are getting completely annihilated with the inflation that's going on. Now, Ethereum as well has ticked over 3,300. Super bullish about Ethereum. We're seeing the Ethereum Merge coming up. And this is being seen on the Google Trends, hitting all-time highs for Ethereum Merge. And the keyword received a perfect Google Trend score of 100, which means maximum relative interest. So we're seeing a lot of potentially newcomers to the space hearing about the Ethereum Merge. And it's been infamously known for delays over the years, but for the very first time, it feels like the tentative Q2 launch might actually be achieved with that proof of stake migration. This is going to help Ethereum scale and also reduce its energy consumption by 99%. And it's going to bring down that inflation rate from about 4% to close to 0.4%, which is really huge. We're going to see that Ethereum shock on the supply. And I think we're going to continue to see some bullish trends over the next few months. Now that's a wrap up of Bitcoin Ethereum. As I mentioned at the start, the emergency update for Chrome users, as there is a unusual and emergency Chrome update that needs your attention. If you use MetaMask or any other wallet in association with Chrome, please go and update it immediately. We've got some tips on our Collective Shift platform. We posted this yesterday as an emergency article. please go and update it. If you haven't, there seems to be a bit of a breach, which MetaMask doesn't promote often. Apart from that, guys, that's it for me. I'm on the road again for the next couple of days, so I'll be posting these videos at my partner's place here out in Western Australia. But I hope you've enjoyed that. If you like these daily videos, which gives you a quick wrap up and overview of the market, please like and subscribe. It really helps us. And if you want to get more premium analysis, including our upcoming buys, sells, portfolio returns, we've got some amazing returns on our early stage investments over the last few months. One of our investments in September is up 180%, which we're super stoked about. You can see all of it transparent in our platform over in the Our Investment section. And you can try that 14 days for absolutely free. That is all for me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks, and bye for now.